Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cupid, a dark and beautiful visual novel. In the last episode, we had a flashback for most of it. I don't know if we're still in the flashback or not, but we found out Catherine killed her sister. She's in love with Guile, and they screw a lot. And Catherine was jealous about that. There was a lot of swearing in it too. See magnifique. And yeah, I don't really know much to say. I'm just going to just jump right back into it. The love for familiars. This was the candle being lit in the last episode. The cleanest love. Rosa stared at the blue candle glowing in her hands as she chanted her spell. Yay, we're back to the magic. Trust in the veil that conceals and deceives. Thick his eyes and his throat with warmth from this candle's flame. A bond of blood like kin will be forged. Weave this trust so his tongue will yield so to what is sought. Oh, it's pretty. Rosa stood by Catherine's tomb, nursing memories of her. Oh, we're back. The soft wind lightly blew her hair. It reminded her of Catherine and her playful ways. Tears sprouted from her eyes. Even the wind console her. I'm always here, my love. Loss will always hurt. But you love Mother the best, don't you? Yes, Mother. Then you are going to be fine. You know, time out. I'm kind of glad Catherine's not in this anymore, and no, we're the only two characters as of right now that I know of are Guile and Rosa, because I only have technically one female voice I can do, and it's not really a good female voice, and I have to either higher the pitch or slow it down so it sounds different. Like for guys, I can do different voices all day long. Like for Guile, I just do my deep stoic voice, like something like this. But for Rosa, it's generic female voice number one. Oh, and crazy Catherine, the mother, crazy mother. I will never leave you like Catherine did. Rosa. Guile's soft voice came from behind. Rosa glanced at him in acknowledgement. He stood quietly beside her for a few moments but ventured to speak. Have you thought about my offer? My house is always open for you, remember that. I'm sorry for my outburst back then. It's nothing. The wind played around their feet and Rosa pictured Catherine as part of the breeze, playful and free. She was free from the pain and the confusion that had plagued her in her last days. They stood beside each other in solemn reverence. Finally, Rosa broke the silence. She was my family. I was in pain before she came along. I didn't know any better. She gave me hope. She was bright, like a flame. When I close my eyes, I still can see the imprint of her light in the darkness. I can feel her warmth. A star. They didn't speak again for some time. Guile cleared his throat. I was an orphan too, much like you. I know what it feels like to lose too much. I wandered for a long time before I found anything to live for. You were alone. Sometimes. Always. Rosa nodded. Do you have family? Guile shifted uncomfortably. No, they, left me behind. I never knew them. Much of my memory is blurred. I was taken by kind people once before, but... Guile sighed and Rosa observed a certain disquiet in him. I didn't belong. You have no difficulty mingling with people. I think of that as a necessity rather than a preference. But either way, it can be quite troublesome after a while. Things don't last. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I'm making the mood worse. I'm sorry. I don't mind. Guile had never opened up to her about his past before, and it worried Rosa how little she actually knew about him. Anyway, would you like to go around town? I'd very much like to take you to some places more cheery. How about your favorite spot? Our favorite spot. Guile smiled, understanding. The pair traveled up a hill at the edge of town. There, the view overlooked a quaint village. The sunset painted everything in the pink glow of dusk of endings. It is always so beautiful here. They used to spend time in this grassy knoll. Oh, change of voice. They used to spend time in the grassy knoll, the three of them. It was their own little hideaway. Memories of the past crept up on every corner. The ghost of laughter echoed in the wind. Rosa touched the trunk of the small tree they had carved their names on. So many fond memories. Rosa. Oh, Rosa. I want you to have this. Guile took Rosa's hand and placed an item in her palm. It was a simple silver locket. She looked up at him questioningly. I have had it for as long as I can remember. One of my remembrances of the past. I can't take this. You must. You need it more than I do. But it's old, and the locket doesn't even open anymore. I don't know why I've held onto it for so long. I can't even remember how I came to have it. But it comforts me. Maybe it will have the same effect on you. This is your treasure, Guile. It feels wrong to take it. On the contrary, I believe you must have it. Call it a hunch or a feeling, an urge on my part. I am not good with expressing sorrow or even giving comfort, but I want to do something, at least, for you. He closed his hand over hers, affirming the gift. It's yours. Please take it. You are wrong if you think I'm letting you stay in the castle simply for Catherine's sake. I do it for my own accord. Let me do this for you, Rosa. We have been friends for quite a while. If you need to leave, at least stay until you feel ready to go. All right. But I will continue working in your household for my lodging. You don't have to do that. I can raise your status to lady. You can read and write now, and very well. I am sure you will be more comfortable in a higher position. I have no need for a higher position. Just free access to your library. You have come a long way from your shy girl back then, Rosa. Watching you grow has been a pleasure. Yes, the library is yours. They were quiet for a while, only conversing through the looks, smiles, and tiny sighs. Rosa realized that she had been holding on to Guile's hand all that time. She broke off his hold, rather embarrassed. We should go head back. You're right, it's getting quite late. Guile walked over to the carriage to get it ready. Excuse me. Excellent, child. Being a maid in his household will give you free access to the rooms. He trusts you completely. It seems that the candle worked. I guess so. Rosa looked at the silver necklace in her hand. She fiddled with it, trying to open the lock. Open it! Open that locket. I'd like to see what's inside. An object that he owns will make any enchantment more powerful. Rosa fussed with the pendant for a while, but like Guile said, it was stuck. I'll try again later, Mother. I'm rather curious about it myself. The spell will start affecting straight stages, gradually uncovering his true face. Fondness first, then trust, familiarity. Rosa sighed. But was the spell necessary at all? Did she really have to have that with Guile? Rosa bit her lip, remembering the warmth of his hand. They had known each other for a long time. It was rather comforting to have someone to mourn with. Oh my god, my stomach. However, Rosa did find it strange that Guile rarely even mentioned Catherine anymore. It was as if he was shutting her off like skin. Again, the taste of blood in her throat resurfaced. The memory of the needles made her stomach lurch. Since her friend had died, the Marquis had begun spending all his hours locked in his office. He barely showed himself socially, rarely even attended meals. But then they were casting a powerful spell, something that might harm Guile. What if he was, after all, innocent? She had years of good memories with him. What was she expecting to find out? Exactly how could she live with guilt of two dead friends? Rosa sighed. She cared for him. Despite all the suspicion, she knew that much. But Mother was adamant. 3 candles for 3 loves. A fitting curse for a man who frolics in love's domain. Storage, the love for familiars. Philia, love for friends. And Eros, the love for lust. Open his heart with storage. Unmask him with Philia. Strike him down with Eros. Yet Rosa kept a 4th candle, one she had named Agape. Unconditional love. She didn't know whether she would ever use it. Mother, of course, would object, but just in case Eros successfully struck Guile, she wished to light Agape. At least give him peace before. Rosa walked towards Guile, a pang of anxiousness biting at her. Rise, my daughter. The work lays ahead. To bring him down, we must find his weakness, then we attack. Revenge will be sweet, my dearest daughter. Do it for Mother. Chapter 4, Metamorphosis. The 2nd candle is lit. Its name is Philia. The love for friends. The yellow candle shone and danced with her breath. Let this candle burn until its wick is spent. Encourage friendship, bring forth memories. Let me walk in his halls without any suspicion. Let me rummage through his belongings invisibly. His journal. He guards his journal fiercely. I must find it. Rosa adjusted her coat as she sat on one of the reserved seats. The theater was packed, the air buzzed with excitement. She hadn't realized as many people would come tonight. Oh, Mother, I wish they would stop staring at me. And why not? This was MDM. Catherine's Perriade's first solo concerto. Her name had been solely gathering recognition. Okay, it's flashing back again. Solely gathering recognition in the past few years. It was feasibly to expect a full house. Still, the turnout was more than she had expected. Paris had taken Rosa and Catherine by surprise. The sheer number of people and their liveliness were well above the usual sight of their small town. Catherine was obviously thrilled with the opportunity to play such an esteemed venue for her debut. Rosa tried her best to keep her anxiety under control. This was for Catherine. For her. This was her night. Rosa took a deep breath and released it slowly. It relaxed her. I hope the show starts soon. Rosa's eyes drifted towards the stage, and then the throng of people gathered on her far left. In the middle, huddled, stood familiar shape of a man. He had his back to her, but the posture and the build were unmistakable. That is Guile. Her heart made a sudden gleeful jump. She was delighted that he had made Catherine show. He had been traveling extensively recently. What if she walked over to him and made sure? Guile would greet her kindly. She was sure Catherine would be thrilled to know he was here. Rosa pondered for a bit, reminding of such sudden winces of pain. Soon the master of ceremonies, the MC, obliged people to take their seats. Guile turned around and walked towards her. He stopped midway and took a seat without noticing her presence. Rosa seemed deep in thought. What's wrong, sweetheart? Is something bothering you? Nothing, Mother. Don't lie to me. I just didn't expect to see him here, that's all. Oh, I see. Is it the same problem, isn't it? Of course, why focus on Catherine's performance when Guile is just over there? Well, go on then. Why don't you approach him? Ask him about his travels, his work. Tell him about the books you've read. And then listen to him talk about Catherine as if the girl shits gold. As usual. I was wondering what that achievement was for. That's fucking funny. 24 karat gold. That's the name of this episode. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, you are making your life so complicated, darling. Why do you even bother yourself with these people? I mean, it happened. It's true. She will obviously abandon you when they get together. They make such a lovely pair. Rosa winced at Mother's voice as if they were nails grating on a wall. It's only a matter of time, isn't it? What will you do then? Aren't you tired of being the third wheel? It's not like that, Mother. We're friends. Friends? Darling, friendship is nothing but a shallow kind of relationship. People change friends as easily as the weather. You don't even remember the friends you make in a certain age. You know, it really doesn't matter what you choose here because either way, friendship's fucked. Family is important. I am the only one who will care for you forever, darling. A mother's love will endure. This bond can never be broken by time or absence. Family lifts you up. It saves. Of course you feel this way. You see them often. But when you lose touch, you're left with nothing but a collection of strangers. And believe me, my dear, they will leave. They always leave. You amuse them now, but soon they will abandon you too. Rosa's tongue felt bitter in her mouth. She was filled with annoyance for her mother. Wasn't happiness a fleeting as friendship? Yet it was not any less real than sadness. Yes, family was important. These familial bonds kept her from losing herself. It was her rock, her foundation. But were these bonds the only constant value? These friends, they were people who accepted her. They shared laughter and tears, their own regrets and dreams. In her heart, she had found a home with them. What more was needed? Rosa's confused feeling began to rearrange themselves neatly in her mind. Catherine and Giles' happiness was more important to her. That was the main thing. She knew they felt the same way for her. Her insecurities were real, but they were insignificant, and if anything, they were bittersweet. She had no regrets. For the first time in her life, she wanted to talk back to Mother. She bit her lip, quelling the nerves as she opened her mouth to speak. I know that. What? I know that Catherine's matters more to him than I do. I know that they might abandon me one day or whatever reason. I might be today or next year, or even sooner. But that doesn't matter in the long run. I'm happy with them. We've had years together that I will treasure. Like I treasured memories of you too, Mother. My memories of you keep me sustained. That is why I love you. The years we spent together, no matter how fleeting, are still worth something. So let me care for them right now. Everything changes, but nothing is lost. Rosa was sure she had read it somewhere. Rosa waited for Mother to answer in a vicious voice, but burst out screaming at her cheekiness. But no voice came. Rosa smiled to herself. The lights dimmed. A low hush descended on the pews. Soon Catherine entered, clad in the loveliest gown and even lovelier smile. She was beautiful. She belonged on the stage. The lights shone on her, but they paled in comparison to her radiance. Catherine bowed to the audience and took a seat in front of the piano. She began to play. Rosa gripped the handle of her seat. She felt surges of emotion with every note. A kind of energy passed through her, touching her skin and making her break into goosebumps. Oh, Catherine. Rosa hadn't known of such a effect before this moment. Music that could strike the heart as if it was fiddling with the soul. It was different from practice, different from when she was performing in front of a smaller group. This stage, and here with a woman with strings. She was tugging the right keys, touching your heart and electrifying your soul. Rosa realized she wasn't alone in this feeling. The whole room was mesmerized. She looked at the lady beside her seat. She had her hand to her open mouth. A teardrop dangled preciously in her eye. A man to her left seemed to have forgotten to blink. Rosa beamed and savored a rush of kinship with them. They were experiencing the same emotions with her. It made her love them a little bit more. Just a little bit. Rosa closed her eyes and savored the night. A bead of sweat fell from Catherine's chin. She was out of her body now. Her stress from beginning of the show had thawed and turned into passion. It ran down her fingers to the keys. It did not escape Catherine's notice that most people in the crowd came to show to gawk at her. Catherine Parody, the one that the infamous Marquis de Ghoul had been courting for years. Didn't he pay for this event, lucky broad? Catherine Parody. Period. Just Catherine. I heard she was some pianist. Any good? Who knows, must be. If even that Marquis is chasing her. Catherine. Some female pianist. Pretty face, nice flesh on her. Let's watch her show. Her fingers caressed the keys, playing them with the force of her heart. Did she play to prove them wrong? Her music saturated the theater with her fervor. No, not to prove them wrong, to set it right. Catherine is my name. I am more than just a pretty face, and I am playing this piece for you. It is my gift. Let me touch your soul. Rosers felt her eyes get moist. This was Catherine's heart transcribed into music. All energy and beauty with the strength of the wind. The mischief of a sudden gale that whips up a lady's skirt and tips a gentleman's hat. The cold breeze that carried the loneliness of the coming winter. Everyone in the audience felt it. Rosa searched for Giles' face in the darkness. She couldn't see him clearly, but it didn't matter. She knew that he was feeling it. She felt it too. Rosa's heart began to ache. It was a string she didn't know how to name. After the show, Rosa greeted Catherine in her backstage dressing room. This will make a nice thumbnail if I don't get a CG. It was smothered in flowers from the audience. Sweat glistened on her forehead. Catherine gave her a tight hug. Congratulations, Cat. You were marvelous on stage. Thank you, Rosie. Catherine covered her cheeks with her front hands. I'm still shaken. The excitement from the stage hasn't... Look at my hands. Dear. So I would call this show a success, yes? Pour the champagne, Sherry. This night to remember. Catherine and Rosa hugged again. Let me just finish up here, Rosa. Then we'll celebrate properly. Two young, ravishing ladies sampling the best of what Paris has to offer. I like it. Rosa laughed. Just don't let go of my hand. You might get lost being so starry-eyed. She was teasing, but smiling brightly all the same. I would never. Anyway, I shall meet you outside in a few minutes. Very well, I'll see you later. Rosa was thankful to leave the backstage area. She almost forgot her anxiety during the show, but backstage was an ill reminder of the crowd. She looked forward to the night ahead, wondering vaguely why she hadn't mentioned Giles' present to Cat. She shrugged it off. It had simply slipped her mind, that was all. Was it, though? Catherine went back to her dressing room, humming as she was about to grab her coat. She wasn't the last bit tired. Visions of the city, exploring new sights, gaining experiences made her giddy with excitement. It will end the night on the best note, she was for sure. A small knock interrupted her thoughts. Who's there? Catherine turned around and a cheerful smile froze on her face. The Marquis peeked from the open door and stepped inside. Hello, Cat. A tingling passed through Catherine's neck. Although she was aware he had returned, this was the first time she'd seen him in 2 years. After, she rebuked his intentions of wooing her. Catherine shook her head at the memory. They grew up together. It was normal to develop feelings for someone you shared most of your life with, was it not? Yet Catherine had promised herself not to dabble with the Marquis. With all the rumors and the past flings, it felt she knew too much. Too complicated. she had reasoned. The rumors were still alive in some circles. But hadn't Guile come clean with his romantic escapades? Hadn't he vowed to be faithful since he had made his intentions clear? Who to believe? Perhaps it was possible that... Catherine pushed away the insinuations of the last thought and rearranged her face into a merry smile. She curtsied. "My Lord Marquis, thank you for coming." The last bit came out as too loud in her ears. It felt like her voice was compensating. She suppressed a groan. "I hope you found the show satisfactory." My Lord Marquis? What happened to Gilly Monster? At once the memory flooded her mind. They used to be her greeting every time she had visited him back then. She would scream that when she saw him right before she flung her arms around his neck. Catherine didn't know what to do. Suddenly her hands, the hands that she had never betrayed her, felt like they belonged to someone else. She cleared her throat and felt the smile harden on her face. "Pardon my past slight, sire. I was a bit precocious child. After all, I must give my due respects to the sponsor of this event. Thank you, by the way. It didn't have to be so extravagant." "Wasn't it your dream to play in Paris, Cap? I thought your debut would be perfectly opportunity to fulfill that dream." The Marquis stepped into the quarters and closed the door. Catherine flinched, afraid the small room would draw them even closer. Just the effect that he wanted, probably, the sly fox. She floundered for a bit, contented herself in fussing with flowers at the table. She should chase him out. Why wasn't she chasing him out? "Merde, Catherine." "I know what that means. That means shit." I didn't think you'd be attending tonight, sire. Weren't you traveling?" "Yes, I was. But I wouldn't miss your concerto for the whole of France." Guile stepped forward. "And it seems my investments were well placed." Guile drew close to Catherine, so near that she could smell the mint on his breath. He appeared to reach out for her face, but changed direction at the last minute. "Oh, these flowers are from the Duke. How pretty." He examined the card dangling. He examined the card dangling a hair away from Catherine's ear, trying to look fascinated by the piece of decorative paper. Then he stepped back, grinning like an idiot. He really has great taste." "Wherever did you learn that, muckhead?" If he thought that kind of ploy would make her swoon, then he was dead wrong. In fact, all it did was make her want to wipe that stupid grin off his face with the backside of a vase. "Yes, he does, doesn't he?" She gritted her teeth, unable to take the acidic edge off her voice. It wouldn't be so hard. All she had to do was grab the neck of the expensive vase and fling it at his head. She wasn't sure if the vase would break. Maybe not. Maybe she would need to hit him again for the full effect. Okay, then. So she has a bit of a violent streak. "Catherine, did you hear what I just said?" "I just said, now that I'm back in town, we should consider playing for me again. It was part of the original arrangement, after all." She felt the tendons in her neck tighten. "I have full schedule this week, sire, but I'll let you know when I'm free." "Oh." "Sire, I must retire for the night. I'm exhausted from my performance, after all. Excuse me." Catherine turned around and went for her coat, but she felt Guile grab her hand. "Wait, They stared at each other for a couple seconds. Guile looked like he was about to say something. His mouth opened and closed, as if debating the correct words in his head. But he just dropped Catherine's hand a moment later. "I'm sorry for you. You're right. You must be tired." His shoulders dropped. Catherine felt a tinge of disappointment, but she ignored it quickly. Guile let out a sigh. "You know I am not good at this, Catherine." "Oh, what do I know? You seem to do just fine. You have an amazing track record." "Huh?" Catherine folded her arms over her chest with a pout. "Oh, that. That is just because of my face." "What?" Most people think I'm very deep and thoughtful when I stare at them like this. I just run with it. I'm not sure if he's playing like this or if he is actually dumb as rocks. I'm really starting to wonder now. Catherine bit her lip to prevent a chuckle from escaping, but the laughter burst out from her. He hadn't changed at all. Before she could stop herself, a mischievous smile appeared on her lips. No, actually it's your inability to make big gestures, Gilly. Huh? Well, look at you. She copied his tight, alert posture. You stand stiff as a board. I guess it fools people into believing you are graceful or dashing soul. Guile made a pout. I am dashing, though. Maybe. En terme, is there? I did have the misfortune of being victim to your dancing. Must you always bring that up? It was a long time ago. He looked so distressed that Catherine couldn't help but tease him further. I mourned the death of my little toe, sire. I like that toe. It was a traumatic experience. Before long, they were laughing like it was almost a natural thing in the world. When did it change? Hadn't it always been like this? Catherine settled back into her skin, mulling the confusion in her veins. Cat. She looked up at him, her own emotions strung her. You can't keep running away from me. She sighed deeply. Her hand tightened around her resolve for the lack of solid thing to hold on to. Perhaps not, but I have already given you an answer. I am aware. I need water. You know, I don't know if it's just me right now, but in the last episode, Rosa pointed out how his eyes get cold. Choking on water. And here they almost have an amber tint to them. I wonder if I'm seeing shit, or if that's actually an artistic thing. If that's an artistic thing, that's a great detail. I have tried to accept it. Please don't take offense, but I thought it would be easy. I left to clear my head, to fill my mind with other things. Traveling usually does the trick. For a while, at least, I thought it was successful. But during my trip, I would catch myself thinking such absurd things like, I wonder what Kat will say when she sees that. No, I don't think Catherine will like this too much. No, Kat used to say. It was funny, but also a little infuriating to know that you have never left my mind. So I wish I knew how to do this. He sighed. I am too used to people leaving me that I do not know how to quit on my own. It must bother you, the amount of lovers I had in the past. I am sorry for that. I almost wish I really was that adept. But, like I have told you, most were simply rumors. The rest were people realizing I am not interesting as they had initially thought. Guile. They never stay long, Cat. One could say I am amazing with first impressions. There is a nagging feeling that that's all I'm ever good for. A sort of exotic trophy people like to collect for its sake, and then put aside when its novelty expires. I can't blame them. By now I'm quite sure that I am what is wrong. You must be better at letting people go. But you, please don't make me let go. You see through me, Cat. In your eyes, I felt like I am someone worth loving. It is any wonder I like to continue thinking of you fondly. Old habits die hard, I suppose. Catherine bit her lip. These are impressive words, sire, but do you have a point? My point? It's simple, really. I don't think I'll be able to stop my feelings for you. You may reject me as many times as you wish. It will not change. I have already come to the conclusion that I don't mind. He shrugged. So I propose that you either get used to me chasing you, or you give in to my dashing, toe-mashing charms. Catherine chuckled despite herself. Or I could just kill you with the Duke's fashionable vase. Please do not give my superiors the pleasure. I would rather you rip my heart out of my chest and offer it to the dark sacrifice of the gods. Gory. Very poetic. Dashing points for you. You think so? I've been reading a lot of romance novels lately. What kind of romance novels are you even talking about? I figured I must learn to be more suave to make the lady of my dreams swoon. Is it working? Catherine laughed. Hardly. I believe this is how they do it in the big finale. Guile cleared his throat and knelt down on one knee. Hey! Thumbnail. He took Catherine's hand awkwardly, trying to act as natural as he could. His serious face made Catherine burst out laughing. What in the world are you doing, idiot? Stop laughing, madame. I must try this at least once. I'm simply concerned for an older gentleman on his knee. You will be able to stand up from that position later, given your obvious grace. Guile chuckled. Terrible. Dare you call me an old man? I don't look my age, you know. Sure. Oh, stop laughing, will you? I'm trying to concentrate. He cleared his throat again. Will Mademoiselle Catherine Perde allow me an audience tonight? As such, perhaps she might allow me to stay by her side for a while longer. It would make me a very happy man. It was sappy and ridiculous, and yet hearing the words did stir Catherine's heart. They were giggling like fools now, like children, her heart heavy with love for him. Love. Did she just think love? Of course she did. She had always loved him. Why was she fighting her feelings again? The reason seemed unclear all of a sudden. All right, sire, you gallantly have convinced this lady to accept your offer for tonight. She bowed an exaggerated curtsy. Guile took her hand theatrically as he stood up. This gentleman is relieved he didn't have to sing. A few rules for tonight. As we are in Paris, you must be on your best behavior. No embarrassing jokes like making friends with the street mimes. Agreed. As such, I must retire by 8. 10. 8. 9:30. 9, take it or leave it. Jesus Christ, this is Pawn Stars. Right. Hey, at least she didn't say, hey, I know a guy. Guile grumbled, but Catherine just chuckled at his frustration. Fine, 9:15 it is, then. Sire, I meant 9 sharp. Gile's face brightened like a little boy's. Oh, I know where we can go. There's this quaint little piazza just south of here. They have breathtaking view of the city. They're on a hill, you see. I know the owner personally, so we're actually guaranteed the best seats. And they serve the best palm... Ooh... Palms... I think that might be duck. Palms... Yeah, I think that's like duck that's really fucked up. It's like they overfeed it, I think. I think that's what I'm thinking of. I think that's gratin. Not sure. It's like, the reason why that sounds familiar is because I've ate that dish before. If you continue eating that every opportunity you get, there'll be no potatoes left in all... No, okay, it's a potato dish. What the fuck am I thinking of? Because I've had the duck that's overstuffed. Catherine sighed. Why must he be so... This better not be a game like all your other flings, sire. I deserve to be treated like more than a prize. But Catherine watched Gile's face beam like he was about that little house on the hill. How the weather was perfect, the stars would soak the sky. She giggled to herself like fondness. What a dolt. A night in Paris, and he would rather eat cheesed potatoes. Oh. See, I've had the stuffed duck. Like, where they overstuff the duck, I've had that. It's really good. Even though it's fucking horrible what they do to the duck to make it huge. But it's delicious. It's so good. Ugh. One time I dated a French girl. It was just like him to pick the stars instead of the city, wasn't it? It pleased her to know that she adored his side of him that others did not see. But was this the real him? Did she really see through him like he said? Or was this a face he put on for the sake, like most flirts could? It was. Then she had been watching his face since she was a little girl. From awe to admiration, from friends to lovers. They had been the best and worst of each other through the years. Surely there was something to that. Surely it couldn't be all a lie, right? I'm sorry, I got carried away. Shall we go? Yes. Catherine grabbed her coat and Guile took her purse. Oh, I almost forgot. Rosa is waiting outside. Then let us hurry and meet up with her. I haven't seen her in a long time. I missed her too. It will be a treat to spend an evening with the two esteemed ladies. She'll be thrilled to see you. Just like old times, us three. Yes. She slipped her hand into his arms nonchalantly and caught Guile's smile to himself. At the very least, let that smile be real. What the fuck just happened? Either way, we're ending it here. Perfect way to end it. A short, quick change. So, if you enjoyed this episode of Cupid, please leave a like and share it around. It helps to grow as a channel, and I really do appreciate it. Become an Ember of the Phoenix by subscribing to the channel and following me on Twitter. The link to that's down in the description below with some awesome fun links as well. Go check out my other projects I'm working on the channel. Fridays and Mondays, we have a Roller Coaster Tycoon series going up. It'll be a little shorter, but it's still going to be a fun build. Wednesdays is my Journey to Pokemon 2019, and Sunday is Pokemon Sardonyx. Great series, great game. So if you're interested, go check those out. And with all that said, this has been Black Phoenix. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.